Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the just released brand new Transformers MPM-06 movie masterpiece, Ironhide, from the original 2007 Transformers movie. This figure was announced almost 12 months ago and has only just been released after delay after delay. So this figure is really highly anticipated. As always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging. As you can see, you have an image of Ironhide in both his robot mode as well as his vehicle mode. Here's a licensed GMC top kick, Takara Tomy and Hasbro MPM-06 Ironhide. The side of the packaging showcases a closer image of Ironhide in a slightly more dynamic pose with a front view picture of Ironhide in his vehicle mode. Turning the packaging around, as you can see, we've got the same promotional images of Ironhide in the robot mode as well as the vehicle mode. It showcases some of his features such as he has a posable neck, a movable faceplate, as well as articulated hands, and that he does include die-cast parts. Finally, the other side of the packaging just showcases Ironhide in his GMC top kick alt mode, and on the top of the packaging it just states that he is a Transformers Masterpiece movie series figure. So that's about it for the packaging. Let's see how cool Ironhide really is. And here we have movie masterpiece Ironhide out of his packaging and as he comes packaged in his robot mode. Now I'm going to begin this review in saying that although this figure does live up to its hype, it definitely isn't without its flaws, as I will discuss in this review. First of all, we're going to discuss the details on the figure. Personally, I think this is one of the most detailed Ironhide figures to date. It is definitely by far the most movie accurate Ironhide and blows any other Ironhide completely out of the water in terms of accuracy. The way that Hasbro have allowed this figure to actually transform to me is unbelievable. He does look incredibly accurate and almost looks as if though he is a model kit. Taking a closer look at Ironhide's head, his head is a fantastic representation of the armoured Autobot as seen in the first 3 live-action Transformers movies. As you can see, we have the asymmetrical eye. The left eye is significantly more damaged and corroded when compared to the right eye, which is extremely accurate. The paint applications of the silver, almost bordering gunmetal silver, is a really nice contrast with this very high-quality black plastic. The mouthpiece has too been replicated extremely well with some fantastic details, and even the side of Ironhide's head has too been detailed in an extremely faithful manner. Moving down to the torso section of Ironhide, here is where things get a slightly bit messy, which we'll discuss in the articulation segment. Nonetheless, it is still fairly accurate. As you can see, you've got the GMC logo on either side of Ironhide's chest. You've got some nice silver paint applications where the headlights would be with translucent orange plastic for the indicator light. We've also got a printed on Autobot insignia on the right side, as well as a painted silver grille on the left side. The tyres too have been detailed fairly nicely. They are in fact plastic as opposed to rubber, which is seen on the majority of standard masterpiece figures. However, here Hasbro and Takara have decided to go with plastic. The central torso section too is extremely accurate. As you can see, it is mainly sculpted in plastic, but nonetheless the details have not been skipped out. As you can see at the top, it does seem to replicate his bumper. As you can see, evidence of lights on either side of this torso section. He does have a few silver paint applications in the center, as well as a black mass painted in the center in order to break up the color distribution. There are also some very intricate details of what seem to be mechanical components, such as these gold cogs on either side of his chest. Moving down to his arms, the arms are fairly basic, however the details have not been missed. As you can see on either side of his arms, he does have fantastic detailing with some silver paint applications to bring out the finer details of the sculpt. There seems to be a mix of plastic here between a black and a light grey. This is great, as although Hasbro and Takara are actually saving money in not painting the figure, the overall effect is really nice and definitely does help to break up the sculpt. Turning to his hands, they are cast in a standard black plastic and there are no paint applications applied, but nonetheless no details have been skipped and the fingers are easily defined by the fantastic sculpt work. Moving on to Ironhide's trademark cannons, as you can see, they are fantastic. They look identical to how Ironhide's cannons looked in the original 2007 movie, right up until Revenge of the Fallen. Each of the cannons has been detailed impeccably well and are extremely faithful to their on-screen counterpart. Obviously, the weapons are asymmetrical and a mix of both silver and black paint applications, as well as grey plastic, have been applied to the cannons in order to make them really pop. Overall, I think Hasbro and Takara have absolutely nailed the sculpt on Ironhide's cannons. Moving down to the lower section of Ironhide, as you can see, the legs too have been detailed fantastically. There is quite a lot of clutter on the legs, however Ironhide was always quite a bulky character, so this is accurate to what we see in the movie. They have actually managed to put the real tyres on the top of Ironhide's legs, much like it's seen in the movie, so that is a piece of fantastic engineering. There doesn't appear to be too much paint application on the legs. As you can see, moving down to the shin area, there is some fantastic detailing with some die-cast parts for the shins. You've got the 4x4 logo on either side of the legs, obviously to replicate where the vehicle mode distributes in the robot mode. And finally, moving down to the feet, we have that very abstract asymmetrical design for his feet and toes. This too is all a die-cast piece and black paint applications have been applied over the top in order to break up the sculpt. So overall for detail, this figure is absolutely fantastic. Turning Ironhide around, as with most Transformer figures, there isn't too much going on here. However, he does clean up incredibly well for a design that is extremely complex. As you can see, there is not much in terms of vehicle mode kibble. Everything does tidy up fairly nicely, which is definitely really nice to see on a movie masterpiece figure. Turning to articulation on Ironhide, this is definitely where the figure does fall slightly short. Despite this being a movie masterpiece figure, he is restricted in several areas, and there are definitely some design flaws, especially when you are posing the arms. The chest does not stay tabbed in at all, which is such a shame, as considering this is a movie masterpiece figure, you'd think that Hasbro and Takara would have incorporated some form of locking mechanism, much like they did with the significantly cheaper Studio Series Voyager Ironhide. Despite Ironhide being a fairly bulky character, I do not think that should have been an excuse for Hasbro and Takara to skimp out on doing some extra engineering to the chest in order to make sure that posing the arms wasn't a pain. Starting off with the head, Ironhide's head is on a swivel and a hinge, so it can look left to right. However, these chest sections here will restrict him. His head can also look up a fair amount on this hinge joint. He does also have a movable mouth as stated on the box. This does allow you to give Ironhide some kind of expression when posing him, which is definitely a very nice feature. And as Ironhide was quite an emotive character in the movie, it is definitely nice to have that option. Now this is where things get slightly disappointing. The arms are actually on hinges that move up and down as opposed to in and out. And what I mean by this is, in order to actually move Ironhide's arms, you have to ratchet the arms upwards. Now, despite Ironhide probably pulling off some of these moves in the movie, I would have much preferred it if his arms could have moved backwards and forwards. And as you can see, when you move this whole section here just completely comes away with it, which is such a shame. There does seem to be a tab here. However, on mine, I think there is a molding defect as it does not tab in at all. And as you can see, the arms do just droop significantly, which is such a shame as this figure was one of my most highly anticipated figures of this year. Despite this ratcheting joint at the top, Ironhide does have a joint that does allow you to move in and out ever so slightly, just like so. He also has a rotation joint just above where this ratchet joint is. He also has a 90-degree bend at the elbow. However, this is restricted by the chest section. This whole section here just tends to flop around. As you can see, there does appear to be a tab. However, it does not lock in at all, and I've really given it some force to the point where I actually thought I was going to break it. So this piece here is extremely loose. The hands are on a swivel joint, so they can swivel left to right as well as in and out. The index finger is individually posable with 2 points, whereas the other 3 fingers are connected and also have the same 2-joint mechanism. The thumb is also on 2 hinge joints and is independent, so you can lift it up just like so in order to get a really nice clenched fist. Moving down to the torso section, Ironhide does have a waist joint, which is definitely really nice to see, especially as this is a movie masterpiece figure. He also has an ab crunch joint, which I believe is a first for any of the MPM figures to actually have. I know some of the traditional masterpiece figures have this, but I have yet to see this incorporated into a movie masterpiece figure, so this is definitely a very nice first. Finally, turning down to the legs, due to Ironhide's complex and very bulky design, Takara and Hasbro have engineered 2 joints in order for you to hinge them out when posing so that this whole section doesn't obstruct this. This will then allow you to ratchet the figure's leg all the way up, just like so, to an extremely high degree. You can also kick backwards all the way as well, which is really nice. You can also do the splits as well. However, just the way the figure is designed, this whole section will obstruct that. There is a swivel just above the knee section, and there is a slight ratchet joint just where the knee is. However, it is extremely hindered by this vehicle mode section here. So that is the only degree of motion you're going to get from the knee. The feet are on ratchet joints, so they can hinge forward and backwards on a ratchet, which is really nice. And he does have a very slight ankle rocker joint. So overall, for articulation, for a movie masterpiece figure, he is good in some regards. However, in some, he's extremely disappointing, especially in this torso section. I hate the way that they have engineered the whole chest. It is such a shame. For some size comparisons, here is MPM-06 Ironhide compared with the MPM-04 Optimus Prime. As you can see, I do personally think that these two scale really nicely. Ironhide comes to just about Optimus Prime's shoulder section, which is definitely accurate from what we see in the movie. However, when MPM-3 Bumblebee is thrown into the mix, the entire scale falls apart. Bumblebee is just far too big to be scaled alongside these two figures. Personally, it's not a massive issue for me as it may be for some other collectors, but it is definitely an underlying issue, and MPM Bumblebee is not to scale with Optimus Prime and Ironhide. However, Ironhide and Optimus, to me, are in perfect scale. For another comparison, here is MPM Ironhide compared next to the Studio Series version. As you can see, the MPM is significantly taller than the Voyager version, as he really should be. However, I cannot let it slip that this figure, which is considerably cheaper than this one, does the chest a heck of a lot better than this one. As you can see, this chest is not going anywhere. The arms are independently able to move on their own without hindering the tolerances of the chest. Whereas on the Masterpiece figure, when you move the arms, the chest is just a complete flop and is really, really such a shame. Now, turning to the transformation of the figure, it is definitely extremely challenging, as you would expect from the movie Masterpiece figure. The entire robot mode has to fold and hide in a GMC top kick alt mode, so it was never going to be easy to begin with. To start off with, we just want to remove these cannons. They are removable, as many suspected when this figure was first shown. As you can see, the cannons do have some slight articulation. Both the nozzles do rotate as seen in the movie, so that's definitely a very nice feature. And as you can see, the sculpt and paintwork is absolutely fantastic on these. So these are really, really an extremely nice added inclusion on this figure. To begin, the first thing we are going to want to do is start off at the bottom. You just want to take these pieces here and fold them inwards to the base of the feet. You're then going to want to turn the figure up and ratchet these downwards just to allow for some clearance. What you're then going to want to do is take these sections here and just untab those and pull them forwards, just like so. Repeat the same process on the other side. Just take those and lift these sections forward so that you're left with something that looks like this. What you'll then want to do is ensure that these die cast pieces are left facing the front and ratchet this entire section backwards, just like so. Do the exact same on the other side. Shoot those backwards, just like this. What you'll then want to do is take these and pull these sections outwards and just flip them around, just like so. Do the same on this side. You'll then want to come to these sections here and just unpeg these pieces here and pull the entire wheel section down, just like so. Repeat the same process on this side. Just take this whole piece here and bring it down underneath here, just like that. With that step now complete, we're going to want to turn the figure around. And as you can see here, this tab here will just plug into a slot in there. So just tab that in just like so. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. We are then going to take these sections here and lift them forwards just like this and tab them into place also. Repeat the same process on this side. Snap those in just like so. We'll then take this entire section here and just lift this down. As you can see, we are creating the back of Ironhide's vehicle mode. Just then tab these together. Make sure that these top sections are lined up properly. Just give it a good push. Turning to the top of the figure, we're now going to want to turn it around and take these pieces here and lift those upwards on both sides, and then fold these sections inwards and fold them back down. Just fold those pieces in. Can be quite finicky to begin with. Get them and push them in just like this. Turn the figure around and take this entire back section here and pull it away from Ironhide's body. This will come down on two hinge joints here. We will then take this joint here and just unfurl it just like so. And then take this section here and push this piece forwards and back so that this whole section here lines up. It does take a fair amount of force. Make sure the ab crunch stays down and then just position this to the back just like so. What we'll then do is remove the bumper, and this is definitely something that I really like on this figure. It's definitely a really nice added touch, and it's definitely something that improves on the Studio Series version. Just take this entire section out here and unfold the bumper section just like so. Turn the figure around now, and we're going to want to take this entire middle piece and just pull it forwards just like this. And then essentially we're going to take these, and if they haven't already done it, we're going to swing these sections backwards just to allow for some clearance as when we place the head in, just like this. Now, a really nice touch is how these sections here actually become a normal grille. In order to do this, you just simply take this piece here and kind of bring it outward, pull it out, flip it around, and snap it back into place just like so. Repeat the same process on the other side, and down, rotate it around, and then push it back upwards so that you've got a plain grille. What we shall then do is take this section here and just bring it up over the top of Ironhide's head, just like this, just to cover up the front faceplate. We're then going to want to turn around to the arms, and here there are several hinge joints. So what we want to do is just hinge this whole section down, move that out of the way, just like this. As you can see, so that this whole panel is aligned with the front of the arm. Repeat the same process on this side. Just take this and wriggle it down. Just like that. What we will now do is ratchet the arms upwards, just like so. Take this whole section here and just pull it upwards, and repeat the exact same process on the opposite side. So just take this whole piece here, and ratchet it all upwards so that you're left with something that looks along the lines of this. What we will now do is shift the entirety of this section backwards so that it will become flush with the back of the truck. So take this whole piece here, fold it backwards, just like so, making sure that the head is kept down. We're then going to want to take the wheels and just pull them outwards, just like this. Take these sections in here and just ensure that they are pulled together as tightly as possible. The wheels will then tab into these sections here. With that now done, we can then attempt to pull the bumper section over. So just move the arms slightly out of the way and take the bumper, pull it over the top of the headlights, tab one side in and tab the other side together, and then just essentially take these sections here, snap that side in, and then tab that in until you've got something along the lines of this. These are more than likely probably untabbed, so as you can see there are two pegs there that plug into two slots on the wheels. Just take that and tab those in, just like so. Now what we're going to try and do is, as you can see, there are some grooves here that these will slot into. Without these tabbing in, you will not be able to apply the finishing touches onto the figure. So ensure that the fist is crammed in and snap that in just like so. As you can see, both sides are perfectly aligned. What we're then going to want to do is just make sure that everything is still aligned. Take these, just tab those in just like so. Take these panels here and untab them, and they will fold down as well. Turn the figure around and repeat the same process on this side. Just take them, tab them in, and these panels here too. Tab those in, and then just take this whole section here. As you can see, there are some tabs that will plug into the slots at the top. Just slot those in, just like so, making sure that everything is tabbed in accordingly. And there we have Ironhide more or less in his GMC Top Kick Alt mode. So as you can probably tell from that transformation segment, this is an extremely involved and very complex transformation, as you would expect from a movie masterpiece figure. But nonetheless, the result is really faithful to what we see in that first Transformers movie. As you can see, the majority of this figure is actually painted black plastic, which is really cool and definitely does give the figure a very premium feel. As you can see, we've got a painted road armor symbol. The towing mechanism on the front also picked out in a silver paint. We've got some paint applications on the headlights, as well as the GMC Top Kick logo has too been painted. There are some details such as the wind mirrors and headlights, which have been picked out in a translucent orange plastic. As you can see here, we've got that same silver grille that we saw in the robot mode, as well as the Autobot insignia, as we too saw in the robot mode. We've got a silver exhaust pipe here, which has been picked out really nicely. A 4x4 logo and a gas cap. Turning to the back of the figure, we've got some really nice painted tail lights with the GMC logo very precisely sculpted and painted, with the Autobot insignia visible in the back as well. We've also got a white license plate. Unfortunately, there are some evidence of robot kibble. As you can see, Ironhide's toes do just hang out of the back, which is a slight shame. But nonetheless, it is a really solid and very nice looking alt mode, and also rolls extremely freely. There is nothing on the ground that will obstruct it from rolling. So overall, it's a really, really nice looking GMC Top Kick alt mode for Ironhide. Now, very quickly turning to weapon storage for Ironhide's cannons in this mode. As you can see, he does have these tabs, which are on a hinge joint, so they are able to be posed around depending on what mode you have Ironhide in. As you can see, there is a port here which will just accommodate for these tabs, and you can easily store Ironhide's cannons on either side of the truck mode, giving him a really awesome looking armored truck mode, which is definitely something that I can imagine the character of Ironhide displaying in his vehicle mode. For comparison, here is MPM-06 Ironhide next to the MPM-04 Optimus Prime. As you can see, I do think that these two scale really nicely. If anything, Optimus should be a slight bit bigger in vehicle mode, but nonetheless, I do think that the scale is really very nice. Optimus is slightly longer than Ironhide, as he really should be, but in terms of height, they are roughly the same scale. So personally, in terms of vehicle mode scale, I think that these two are perfect. So there you have it. That is my review on the highly anticipated Transformers movie masterpiece, MPM-06 Ironhide. Personally, I think the robot mode looks absolutely fantastic. There is no doubt that this is the most authentic and faithful representation of movie Ironhide. However, some of the design choices, specifically in the chest, are a massive drawback. For a figure that costs over £100, definitely should have been rectified and should not have been an issue, especially when compared to the significantly lower priced Voyager class Ironhide does the chest a heck of a lot better. I think the transformation is definitely extremely challenging, however it is not too hard where you'll find it a chore. I also really like the way that the vehicle mode looks as well. The truck mode is a really nice size, and the way that they've incorporated paint as well as plastic really does set the figure apart from your regular mass release products, and definitely does make the figure feel a lot more premium. The die cast pieces are an added touch, especially in the lower leg areas when in the robot mode, as it does help to create stability when posing the figure. Overall, I do recommend this figure. However, if you are after an Ironhide which is completely without its flaws, this is definitely not the figure for you. Despite it looking absolutely fantastic, there is undoubtedly some drastically flawed design engineering in this figure. Hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below. And until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.